There's no doubt that Charlie Gardiner was one of the best ice hockey goalies of the 1920s and 30s. The results are there. He came up through the Winnipeg system, eventually found his way to Chicago Blackhawks in the 28 campaign, and again, despite some rough seasons, won a Stanley Cup with them in 1934, two-time Vezina Trophy winner and first All-Star team 3 times. But his life on the ice was overshadowed by maybe one of the most tragic incidents of giving it all for the game. He passed away in 1934 of a tonsillar or a tonsil infection, despite the fact he had it over a year, and he played and he played and he played and eventually killed him. Now, born in Scotland, played for Chicago Blackhawks. Now, born in Edinburgh, he moved with his family to Canada as a child, playing all of his junior hockey in and around Winnipeg. He joined the Blackhawks in 27. He played 7 seasons with Chicago, winning 2 Vezinas for long diffuse goals, was named to the first All-Star team 3 times and the second All-Star team twice, in recognition as one of the best goalies in the league. When he first broke in, Chicago was growing, but as the years went on, he was number 1. He became the only NHL goaltender to captain his team to a Stanley Cup win. A few months after winning the Cup, Gardiner died from a brain hemorrhage brought on by a tonsillar infection. When the Hockey Hall of Fame was established in 1945, he was named as one of the inaugural inductees. Now, big for the time of a goalie, 6 feet 170. Now, he first broke in again with the Winnipeg Tigers, leading on to the Selkirk Fishermen, then the Winnipeg Maroons for 2 years, playing in the MJHL, the MHL, the CHL, the AHA. Again, first season for Chicago, 632-2, then 729-8. Got better and better, and his last campaign, for a lot of people believe it was best with only a 1-3 average, but 1930, 1.05 in the playoffs, 185 in the 242 in the regular season. Now, this is what happened, and the tragic circumstances show how his dedication killed him. Now, during the 33 campaign, he began to develop a tonsil infection that drained his strength, where while he initially kept the infection private, he made his condition public on December 23rd, 32. Even though he was ill, he played the next night in Toronto. Though his 55 saves were a deciding factor in Chicago's win, and his performance was so good that both league president Frank Calder and Maple Leaf Star forward Charlie Conacher praised him. He was so sick that he would collapse on the dressing room floor between periods with a fever of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. After the contest, he was rushed to a local hospital. This was the first notable symptom of Gardiner's health issues. In January 34, the Blackhawks were on a train back to Chicago, when Gardiner felt intense pain in his throat that spread to the rest of his body, notably his kidneys. When questioned by Tommy Gorman about his issue, the coach, he lied to Gorman and insisted it was only a minor headache. However, when Gardiner woke up on the train in the morning, he had trouble seeing as black spots obscured his vision. This was Gardiner's first uremic convulsion, or bad kidneys. His health continued to be an issue through the 34 playoffs. On March 29-34 in a playoff game against the Montreal Maroons, he had a shutout as the Blackhawks won 3-0. Though he was named first star as the best player in the contests, he was in extreme pain during the entire match with a fever of 102 and was attended by a doctor in a dressing room during intermissions. Playing with the infection for most of the season, he was often seen slumped over the crossbar during breaks and contests, nearly blacking out. After leaving for a singing lesson on June 10-34 after season, Gardiner, who was a noted baritone, collapsed. He went into a coma from which he never woke. He died 3 days later in 1934 from a brain hemorrhage brought on by the infection. In a Montreal Gazette story about Gardiner's untimely death that ran on June 14-34, Detroit GM Jack Adams declared him to be a grand chap, one who could not help but like him. He was undoubtedly the finest netminder in the league. What is more, he always played the game as a gentleman. Now, he was the first goalie who caught with his right hand to win the Vezina. He's also the only NHL goaltender to captain his squad to a Stanley Cup victory. Now it's a change. Now you can't be a captain. In 1945, he became a charter member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. In 1998, he was ranked number 76 on the Hockey News list of the 100 greatest hockey players. Gardiner is a member of the Canada Sports Hall of Fame, the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame Museum, and the Manitoba Hockey Hall of Fame. Overall, he played 316 NHL games, winning 122, with a goals against average of 2.02 and 42 shutouts. In the playoffs, he appeared in 21 games with a 1.43 goals against average and 5 shutouts. Now, when the British Elite Ice Hockey League introduced a conference system in the 2013 season, one of its conferences was named in honor of him. An arena in Winnipeg, located near his childhood home, was renamed the Charlie Gardiner Arena in 2018. So, a very, very interesting life in hockey. But the idea, ladies and gentlemen, in 2022 to 2025, if a hockey player, especially a goalie, is showing those symptoms, there was no way to be allowed to play, but they would tough it out. But what's kind of weird about Gardner, ladies and gentlemen, the stats, like Chicago, like in the early campaigns, like in 1928, 6-32 and 2. 7-29 and 8 and 29, he only had a 185 average. But then from then on, he never went less than 16 wins in the season. And again, in 31, 24, 17 and 3, a 173. And again, the postseason in 34 made it all work together. So again, 112, 152, 52. Nearly 20,000 minutes played, 42 shutouts. In the postseason, 12 and 6 with 3 ties, and it would be ties in the playoffs, with 5 shutouts. So 47 career shutouts as a player. Now we look at the situation with Gardner again. He came to Canada determined for a better life for himself. He was the 4th of 5 children. There were also Gardner's 2 older brothers, John and Alexander, an older sister, Edith, and a younger sister, Christina. They moved to Winnipeg in 1911 when Gardner was 7. Initially, they lived in a house on William Avenue before moving to Alexander Street. Now, he took a job as John, his father, took a job as a rail car repairer, and Gardner took an early interest in the trains, often waiting up late at night to watch them arrive in the city. Now, when the First World War began in 1914, both brothers enlisted and were sent overseas. Gardner's father, John, also enlisted, but he died in 1916 before he was sent overseas. Both of his brothers returned home after the war ended, while Alex was unharmed. John had been involved in a poison gas attack and was seriously ill. To help provide for the family, Gardner began working for a hardware company at the age of 12. In December 28th, he began to develop an illness as a result of the poison gas, like John, and he died December 13th. Edith had planned to get married on December 31st, but wanted to delay the marriage because of John's death, though her family convinced to continue with the original plan. Gardner married Myrtle Brooks in 1927. Now, and he was playing hockey while working at a hardware store and also for the baseball team. He quickly started playing ice hockey with the same passion the children who were born in Canada. As he didn't learn to skate until he was 8, he couldn't skate very fast and was forced to play goalie. And of course, the rest is history. Now, he was also a three-sport athlete, excelling in Canadian football as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, he also played in the Grey Cup, the 13th, for the Winnipeg Tammany Tigers, losing to Ottawa Senators 24-1. Now, he was a very Renaissance guy. He enjoyed several different hobbies. He took flying lessons. He enjoyed shooting rifles, and he was also involved in business administration and sales. He ran a sporting good business, and also a Freemason, and also was a Shriner as well. At that time, he was the youngest in the city. So a very diverse life in hockey and in the social life. But Charlie Gardner, boys, he was a talent, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here with our Canadian Sports Icon podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.